Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Survivor Winners at War, episode 11 reaction. There you go. I was trying to figure out how I was going to do the finger count. I was like, I don't have enough fingers. My brain is not properly working anymore.
You can hold up 10?
Okay. There we go. We are solutions-oriented, just like one Tony Vlachos who had, I think my Survivor Kageon brain, it has long dreamed for just an episode of Survivor that is just Tony. Survivor.
And you got it.
Survivor Tony at War was really the title for this episode.
No kidding. Holy, this was a good episode for your guy.
I'm not sure if there has ever been an episode of Survivor that has been dominated as much by one single player ever. Except for, I don't know, I don't even know if the Russell seasons of Survivor was dominated as much by one player, but this was all Tony, all the time. It was a real emotional journey for Tony. We had such sweeping victories, incredible failures, deep sadness, and then ultimately he achieves a victory or a victory. I don't know if what he did is actually a good thing, but
we'll see how that shakes out. I don't know.
Alright, well, before we break any of this down, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates. So, I know in the preview videos for this episode, this was an idea that I sort of floated out there that maybe Tony could be like, okay, I don't like how close Sarah and Sophie are getting. I'm gonna try to find a way to get rid of Sophie. But I said then, if he doesn't have Sarah in on this plan, it's not gonna be the greatest of plans because Tony's just gonna make a lot of people mad. And yet, he does it. I'm grateful he does it because it was fun. It's always good to see a good blindside, but this is risky.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he was never going to get Sarah in on this. She's not going to want to eliminate somebody who's going to go to the end with her. It's just not in Sarah's best interest. I mean, she's a really smart and fun and pretty player. So, how would she ever let that happen?
I don't know if you're ever going to let that confessional go. By Sarah, by the way, you don't always have to list off every single one of your skill sets into your confessionals, but she's also creative as well.
She's also creative. People don't see that in her.
No, I do like Sarah, but that confessional was a little over the top.
Fun.
I know.
No, it was a little.
It was a little much, but Sarah's not going to be thrilled by this. We'll talk more about that in the preview, but
yeah, I mean, when I heard what Tony was kind of trying to play out, I understand it. I mean, at the same time, he was in kind of a good spot. I mean, he was playing with everybody, had some numbers. This could have worked out okay for him to get him really far and get the 5 of them pretty far. So, do I think necessarily that Sarah would have taken him over, Sophie at the end? It's kind of up in the air. I'm actually not sure that she wouldn't take him. But obviously, he didn't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
And he did this. But there was no way that Sarah was going to be like, all right, I'm in on this. There's just no way.
Not in the position that the game currently is. I agree with you. If he was going to do it, this is probably the way that he was going to do it.
I also think that doing it at this point in the game, we will talk more about the preview a little bit later, but there is still time for him to smooth some stuff over with Sarah. Maybe.
Maybe. It feels to me like this, that this is a great move for Tony at Final Tribal Council, where he can stand up and be like, look guys, I did this, I did that, I found an idol, I won immunity challenges. See, I'm not actually going to go full Tony with my impression anymore because it's terrible and everybody will stop watching. But that's what he's going to do, and he'll have a big strategic move to put on his resume. And Tony deserves full, absolute credit for this. It was his move. He convinced people to go along with it. He did it. Sophie had an idol that she did not play. She did not see it coming.
No.
Hats off to Tony for that, but I think it is also a move that is going to make it a lot harder for him to get to the end of the game, because now he's won 2 immunities in a row, and people know he's going to be involved in this. People are going to target him. I am more worried about Tony than ever now.
Yeah, I think people are really going to be targeting him now. He has won 2 immunities. People, are starting to kind of catch on what's going on. He was out in the morning looking for an idol. Nick's walking by being like, so what are you doing in that tree over there, Tony? So, I mean, people know that he's starting to kind of get back to who he was and looking for idols. And, Good Time Tony is, in the past now. He is actively looking for idols, doing this stuff. Nick has seen it. Other people are going to know. So he just has such a huge target on his back now. And now Sarah's going to be pissed.
This is peak Tony. We are now back in full peak Tony territory. Next thing we know, he's going to start speaking in animal voices at people. He's going to be yelling at tribal council. He's going to be pulling out his idols and waving them in people's faces. This is what I want to see from Tony. It's probably not great for his ability to stay in the game, but...
Yeah, no, he needs to not do that. He needs to continue some of his patience that he has shown this season, that he clearly does have, to just get a little bit further. A little bit further.
Take a chill pill, Tony. Well, all right, we will continue to talk a lot about Tony throughout all of this, but... We'll start with a little bit of cleanup on IL this past episode, because apparently the new thing for Survivor is if you're going to have 15 minutes of a tribal council where everyone is whispering the whole time and you don't have any clue as viewers as to what's going on, you actually have to spend some time telling us at the start of the next episode. So, confirmation on a couple of different things, which is nice. Jeremy did the right thing in playing his peace out advantage because he was going to go.
Yeah, and it felt like he was going to go.
Yeah, so for everyone out there who's sort of like, oh, I don't know if that was the right move for Jeremy. Yeah, maybe the jury didn't love it, but he wouldn't love being on the jury, and he would have been on the jury had he not done it.
Yeah, he would have been.
And also, it seemed pretty clear that Michelle did not have any real clue what was going on with that vote. I know she voted for Tyson, but her voting confessional was very much like I don't know what I'm doing while she was doing it. So, yeah, we know for sure Michelle was sort of on the outs. And so at the start of this episode, we had Kim, Denise, Jeremy, Michelle, and they were sort of on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
At that point, did you think even for a second we were going to be going in the direction we ended up going at the end of this episode?
No, I mean, I really didn't know what to think, and especially with so much Tony that we were getting, and then this crazy extortion advantage.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, watching him read that out and seeing how excited he was. He's tripping over his bag. He's like, oh my God, extortion. I love it already.
Yeah, I know.
Well, let's get to the end of that note and see how much you love it, Tony. It was so funny.
Oh, the entire first 15 minutes of this episode are just hysterical from start to finish because, yeah, it begins with Tony. It's like early in the morning. Jeremy gets back to camp by himself. I know that there was at least one or two people in the comments recently with the sneak peeks that were sort of like, why isn't Jeremy going and looking for an idol himself? At that point, I'm guessing there wasn't enough daylight or he didn't know when they were going to be back. And they don't want it to be like, oh, we're just coming back. Where's Jeremy? It's kind of obvious where he is if he's off looking for an idol at that point.
Yeah.
But it is the move. First thing in the morning, you go out, you look for the idol. I think I remember from Kage-an, Tony's like a crazy person. He never actually sleeps. He just like sits there and his eyes are open all the time, just darting around in the middle of the night.
He's a little bit like Pope from Animal Kingdom for all you Animal Kingdom people out there who also doesn't sleep.
Yeah, but I feel like in an alternate reality, I know Tony is one of the good guys, but I feel like he could be a part of like a heist crew on Animal Kingdom too. Maybe.
He was going with this extortion thing tonight, which it was kind of interesting because when he first got this, I was kind of like, is he really actually going to take it? There was a moment that I kind of wondered that because it was like, okay, he wasn't going to be able to play for immunity. That sucks. He has, to be fair, only won it once in all the time that he's been playing. So he might be like, you know what? I wasn't going to win that anyways. And then, okay, he can't vote. Yeah, that sucks. But he has an immunity on him now. So he could go in and just play it. 6 tokens is a lot. In the end, I think he made the right decision going and talking to people and being like, hey, can I get one of your tokens? Because it did kind of build up some trust with some people, going to Jeremy and talking to Jeremy. Like, I mean, I think it really helped.
I think there's a lot of things that contributed to him being successful with this move. I think it does start with the fact that he did get up early. He did find the idol.
Yeah.
By the way, I totally love him telling Nick to go look somewhere that he had already looked. It's like you're screwing over this guy who wants to help you, Tony, but I understand fully why you're doing it.
And I'm surprised that, Nick's a smart guy. I'm surprised that he wasn't like, well, if Tony's telling me to go to the well, then he's already been to the well, so I'm just going to go over here instead and be like, no, I'm good, man. I'm going to check over here.
Tony made me feel bad about a lot of other smart people that he was totally just like duping throughout this episode.
Yep.
He totally dupes Nick. He gets the idol. He's so excited, Tony is. Then, you're right, he has the whole emotional journey of being so happy to so sad when he realized that he was getting screwed. Everyone else gets something. Like, at least Michelle, there's as a possibility that that's going to turn into something for her favor. Tony,
oh, the coin flip?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that the coin flip was like the absolute worst thing you were going to get from the island.
No.
And I totally take that back. That extortion thing was the worst.
Yeah.
For him, so entertaining for me.
Natalie and Parvati were just like, hold my beer. When they got the actual, this was really, really crazy. If it wasn't for the fact that Jeremy was looped in on this plan later, I would feel really bad for Jeremy at this point because Tony...
Oh, yeah, there was a minute there that I was just like, oh my goodness, he's going to take his token and then do this to him? So, I think that if Tony hadn't come to him to be like, hey, I need one of your tokens, I don't know that he would have been able to actually sell that to Jeremy. That at that point, Jeremy would be like, you know what, no, Tony, I'm good, Tony. Like, I wasn't sure if he was going to believe him.
Tony, he did stumble into some really incredible fortune in a couple of different places here because when he was sort of smoothing things over with Jeremy early on in the episode, he had no idea that he was going to be extorted and he was going to need a fire token from him later.
Yep.
But because that conversation happened, like you said, they were able to sort of come to an agreement. And then he's able to go to Nick, and he's able to do the fire token thing with Nick. And then he's able to go and get one from Ben. And like you, when I first saw this, I was thinking, I think Natalie and Parvati did a really bad job because who in their right mind is going to give up 6 fire tokens? But then, as they sort of even so smartly articulated, who is someone who is very chaotic, who would not like their power to be taken away from them?
Yep.
This is a Emmy-worthy Survivor editing moment where they don't even have to say his name. The camera just pans to Tony just sitting there by himself.
It's true. He was the right person to pick. And like I said, there was a moment I thought, he's got an idol in his pocket. He doesn't actually need to be extorted. He could send this back and be like, sorry for your luck. You're getting nothing from me. And, he did a really good job getting 3 more tokens. This is a game for $2 million. $2 million. Yeah. I'm not giving you my token, Tony, for any reason. I'm sorry you're getting extorted, but sorry for your luck, man.
These people, it's not like they're giving their tokens to somebody who is, like, warm and comforting and trustworthy. They're giving their tokens to Tony. Tony voted off Trish, like his closest ally in Cagayan, because he wanted her on the jury to vote for him, and I think that was his explanation. So I don't understand in a million years why you would want to give your token to Tony, unless Jeremy's kind of desperate. I get that, but the other two.
Yeah, I know Michelle didn't have any tokens, but I like that she came up with a really interesting lie about what her advantage is that she bought. Mm-hmm. That she bought for 4 tokens an advantage just in case she goes over to the island. I was kind of surprised he bought it, but she was pretty convincing. It was a good move.
I was really impressed with Michelle, actually, in a lot of ways in this episode. Because I thought that was really impressive. You thought smart. On your feet, made up a good lie. You went along with the plan at the end because it's better than potentially not having a plan or going along with something that you don't fully believe in. Yep. I think she did a good job of sort of navigating things. But then Tony also stumbles into a little bit of luck here and skill. He did win the immunity.
He did.
Tony, for a split second, he almost acted like he was sad about winning. I'm sure he was, like you told me earlier, he was probably just surprised.
I think he was just surprised because, he hadn't really won any immunities before. Then all of a sudden he's got one. Now he's got another one. I think he's probably was just like, oh my good, I can't believe this is happening. Wow.
Challenge Beast Tony has suddenly emerged on this season.
Okay, I don't know.
Tony is gonna start doing well. Well, actually, we'll get to see if production is really big on Tony. The next challenge is gonna be now we have a spy competition for everyone. The person who can build the best spy shack wins. No, so this is something I didn't see in the episode. You can tell me if I missed it, but Tony got 3 tokens. Mm-hmm. He won 2 from immunity. Mm-hmm. He said he was going to repay the debts. Did we actually see him give those back?
He said he would try to repay the debts.
So we don't actually know who he paid those tokens back to.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess. This is just a guess. I'm going to pull it out of my head here. I'm guessing he gave a token back to Jeremy, and then he gave one to Nick, and that sort of paying them back helped to get them on board with this move because it was a show of trust.
Yeah, I think so too. Jeremy's an interesting player because at this point it's kind of like, yeah, he kind of owes Tony, but if Jeremy needs to get rid of Tony, Jeremy's gonna get rid of Tony. So I think for Tony paying it back, that's what happened, that is definitely the number one person. Because he was kind of, you saw they're sitting on the lawn talking about that, he really was like, I don't know. I don't know if I have enough trust here. And then he showed, yes, you should have the trust. I've saved you tonight. Also, here's this.
I know that Jeremy has more than likely seen plenty of Survivor Kage-On, but this is, we've talked about this previously. It's basically what happened with Spencer, where Tony sort of kept Spencer around and kind of sort of worked with them. And I think Tony does want to get rid of Jeremy still. I don't think it changes anything long term.
No, but he needs the numbers right now, and, Sarah is going to be pissed off, and he did decide to break away from the larger group, so now it's, it's not there anymore. Now it is kind of splintered around, and we're back to this again, where it's who is in an alliance with anybody anymore.
The funniest thing about all this is I could kind of read some of the tea leaves that maybe they would get rid of Sophie, but we both sat here last week and said, who's never going to be brought up as a target? Ben. And then all of a sudden, Jeremy now hates Ben in the game. Maybe Adam was actually onto something, and maybe Ben is driving everyone insane.
I was about to say, Adam was clearly on a road somewhere because he really couldn't stand to me that those confessionals were getting weirder and weirder as Adam was going along of how much he was pissing him off. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we've got Jeremy's like, oh man, I just can't stand him. He's just so irritating. It's just like, what is it that Ben is doing that is so bad that every person on here is like, man, we just need to get rid of him because I can't. I can't with him.
Is Ben doing really loud impressions in the middle of the night? Does Ben just belch a lot after he eats? I don't know what the issue is.
No, they're not showing what the issue is, but clearly there is something because now we've had Adam, now we've had Jeremy. Everybody just wants him out. Yeah. Not because he's a threat, but he's bothering people.
Yeah, it never seems to be, you know what, I think Ben is going to beat us. It's always, you know what, I'm just really sick of Ben. Let's just get rid of him. But that seemed to be at least some of the thinking at one point in all of this. But let's look at the state of the numbers now. So Kim sort of realizes, all right, this is sort of a sinking ship, this little group. So me and Denise, we're going to come over here. We're going to do this vote split where we put a number of votes. Well, it's 3 and 2. So they're going to put some votes on Jeremy. They're going to put some votes on Michelle just in case an immunity idol is played.
And nobody's talking about Kim and Denise.
Yeah.
Honestly, what happened tonight?
I don't understand nobody's talking about Kim and Denise part of it. I also don't really I understand the value of a vote split sometimes because crazy things can sort of happen.
Absolutely. Nobody knows what's going on. After that last tribal council where there's 20 advantages all being played, I'm sure people are like, you know what? We just can't take that chance.
Yeah, and I'm guessing they probably thought, okay, well, you know what? If we don't have Kim and Denise, maybe we'll still have Tony and Nick, and maybe the numbers would sort themselves out. But because it was, 4 votes, 3 votes, 2 votes, that was the makeup of this. The majority alliance really put themselves in a tricky spot where just one vote is going to swing everything. Maybe that was a mistake. I understand the mistake, but maybe it was a mistake.
I get the mistake, and I think it's just because there's so many advantages that were just played. We've had 2 tribal councils where everybody's whispering and freaking out and don't know what's going on. Then all of a sudden it's like advantage, idle, that this time along they were like, okay, so we don't want to get caught with our pants down.
Yeah.
Let's split these votes. It's a risk, but, so many advantages have been played. Like, how many advantages are left out here? Let's take the risk.
Let's talk briefly about Nick, because I think it's understandable why Jeremy and Michelle do this move with Tony. Mm-hmm. They need to. But Nick, I don't know if Nick needed to make the move. Do you think this is actually something that would help him? It's tricky with him.
It was tricky because Tony didn't really have to convince him. He was just kind of like, hey, what do you think about this move? All right. I was just like, whoa, okay. Like the same face that Tony gave. He was just like, all right, we're going ahead kind of thing. And I mean, Nick kind of has been not really that solidified with anybody. He really has been kind of at the top of the numbers, at the bottom of the numbers, at the top of the numbers. He doesn't know what's happening. He's getting blindsided and he's mad. He's just been kind of everywhere. So he's really been able to sort of adapt into these different situations that are going on. I think with this particular season, with winners, we've seen other people play the way that they've played before without winners.
Yeah.
And it not work, and now they're over at the edge. And we've now seen people like Tony and people like Nick who are playing a little bit differently, and they're making it further. So, I mean, being adaptable and being able to kind of move with the flow, as long as it's not my name, then sure, you want to do this, Tony? All right, we'll do this. I'll figure the rest out next week.
I think maybe because of you, it may just also because time and maybe my brain is also cooling off. I'm starting to get more on board the move Tony made. I'm not still fully there, but I do think with Nick, I think you're right. I think it's also, I'm going to put on tinfoil hat here.
All right. Okay.
I think my guess is that Sophie, Sarah, and Ben, those 3 probably come across as really close out there.
Yeah.
As probably a really tight group of 3. I think Nick may have been seeing this and being like, oh, I can split up this 3. I should do this. I should go ahead with this. I'll go with Tony. And then guess what? After this move, who's going to be the person who takes all the heat for it?
Tony.
It's not Nick.
No, it's not Nick. And I mean, in general, I think everybody knew that Sarah and Sophie were so close. So it's even if, okay, we've got Tony who was like, oh man, one of my, people I'm really close to is really close to Sophie. Okay, I get it. He needs to get rid of her. But at the same time, everybody else can see that these 2 are really close, and you don't want a duo getting far into the game. So getting rid of Sophie, kind of advantage to everybody.
It's a good move in terms of splitting up some numbers. Sophie is a great challenge player. She can win a lot at the end. It's very risky for Tony. We'll see exactly where that sort of goes from here. The only other, I guess there's only 2 other questions I have off the top of my head, and that is number 1, should Kim have pushed Jeremy harder that Tony was playing him? And because Kim seemed to be the one person who was kind of fully aware as to what Tony was up to.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're sort of in this place in the game where as long as your name's not really being brought up, then you're in kind of a good spot, because things have been turning on people in a second. Like, you can push, but pushing too hard, then sometimes all of a sudden, then now it's like, oh, Kim's talking about me. Well, now it's Kim. Everybody Kim? We're all whispering it's going to be Kim? Okay, now it's all Kim. Like, it's been so scattered this season.
It has. And, one more thing I should mention. I loved Ben's blindside face. It was my favorite blindside face of the season.
Good.
It was,
yeah.
If I had the beard I had this morning, I could probably actually play it off a little bit better. Okay, it was not at Ben level. Finally, though, should Sophie feel bad for not playing her idol? I'm going to say no, because I think the brilliance of Tony's move was that he went right before Tribal to everyone. And if everybody sells this, there's no way Sophie's going to be able to know or figure this out. And there's enough people left that she probably didn't feel urgency about having to play.
Yeah, no, I get that it's like she just stood up and was like, oh man, I'm sitting on idol. Like, I absolutely understand. But I wouldn't have played it either if I was her. There was no reason to feel like anything was going to happen.
Yeah, there's times when we come on here and wag the finger and be like, how dare you? I cannot how dare you, Sophie, in this moment, Sophie.
Like I still am with the 4 fire tokens for a flip of a
I know,
coin.
you're...
Come on.
6 fire tokens to just not play an immunity when Tony already had an idol. This is a very weird... I loved every second of this episode, though.
It was great.
I feel bad for Sophie because I like Sophie a lot, but good on you, Tony. You're making moves. You're playing hard. Team TV. Okay, everyone. What did you think about Survivor Winners at War, episode 11? Was Tony's move great TV, bad for his game, good for his game? Let us know in the comments. And if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store. And we'll see you here next time.